Hey, welcome again. I am TanYah Global, and you are listening to our Youthful Solutions conversations. And so, um, coming out of a meeting with a group talking about collectivism and collaboration, and just in terms of coalitions, and I've been a part of a lot of coalitions. And if you've listened to me before, you know I talk about youth development, and a major value in youth development is synergy, which says that we can achieve more as a whole than as an individual. And so collaboration is a big part, and collaboration is a resource. Collectives are resources that we can use in our work with young people, our work with community, our work within corporations. We are always better together than we are apart. And so in talking about collectivism, one of the things that came out in that conversation, and I wanted to have a conversation, was that when you come together, we're all coming together from different contexts. So when I work internationally, we're all coming from different countries. We're having different country contexts. We're having different issues. We're coming from a difference in terms of developing world as opposed to developed world context and view. We're coming from different racial groups. We're coming from different ethnicities. We're coming from different cultural contexts. So we're coming from very different places, and we're coming with one goal in mind. So when I look at one of the coalitions I'm a part of, we come together to professionalize youth work across the globe. And we have people from all over the world. It's endorsed by, I think, 53 or 54 countries. So it's a collective. But not every coalition is a collective. Not every coalition operates collectively. Collectively means we're operating with one tone, one voice, different spirits coming together for one movement. And so we are a resource. We're using ourselves, putting all the resources together to become a bigger resource. And because we're all coming from different backgrounds, we're excited and we are motivated and we're hopeful, of course, because if you don't come together to collaborate collectively without the hope that you will be successful, and so you come hopeful, you come excited. But because we are coming from different realities, and because we have historically and present day disparities in justice, inequity, inequality, we're also coming from that perspective too. And we might have people that exhibit that reality. And so sometimes in a collective, let's use racism. That's a good example. We will have people who come with that racial disparity, meaning that some of us will be on the receiving end of the disparity. So we might come vulnerable. We might be people that are conscious of racism. And so we might perceive certain things as racist. But then somebody else on the other spectrum of that same racial disparity comes with that superiority and might not perceive it. And so let me use an example. You might be in a collective that has a lot of African members. And the point of the collective is to voice and to speak. Each of us speak for ourselves, speak on behalf of who we are representing. And so we might have a mix of African people, people from Europe, people from the Caribbean, Asia. Let's say you have a white person in that group who is an expert in youth development and has had exposure to be able to work across the developing world and has loved it and has had some impact. But in the collective space, that person feels that they always have to speak for Africa. When Africans and the people of color from other countries experience that in that setting, it feels like racism. It feels oppressive because we can speak for ourselves Africans can speak for themselves. Pan-Africans like me can speak for ourselves. Caribbean people can speak. People can speak for themselves. So if you, because of your expertise, feel the need to speak for us without recognizing our presence, it says to us that you are still operating from a place of superiority that comes from your racial privilege, your racial experience, and it is racist. And so coming into the collective space, you will encounter things like this. You will encounter the negatives as well as the positives. And sometimes the negatives may outweigh the positives. One of the things I have taken from my experience in collectives is collectives have reinforced to me that the cause is real, that inequities really do still exist, that racism really still exists, that oppression of developing nations is still real. It comes out in the conversations, it comes out in the way we engage each other. But that has reinforced my resilience as an island girl, my resilience as a Jamaican, my resilience as a Pan-African, my resilience as a developing nation citizen. It has reinforced my resilience to say that this cause is real and I have to stand up against those systems and I have to continue to work. And also it says to me that we are achieving great things, because when you compare our achievements, some of us in developing world, some of us in countries in Africa that have been war-torn, that have faced famine, that have faced external interventions, that have not been freed from post-colonial, post-slavery, oppressive systems and interventions, have not been given the freedom to grow and evolve, but are still achieving great things, sometimes with nothing. It has reinforced to me our abilities. And so from the negative interactions in collectives, don't go into a collective or don't go into a partnership to collaborate and not anticipate that the same reality that you're a part of. Don't go in naively to think that it's all hunky-dory. It's just skipping on, singing in the rain. No. Be aware that the same prejudices, the same inequity, inequality, injustice, those same negative realities are present there. And usually we are unaware of them. And so we can perpetuate them. And as a collective, we have to engage with that. And we have to be careful, very, very careful, that as collectives, we are not just reinforcing the same status quo of oppression in our work. Because if we are not going to get to the root and the heart of some of the issues that we are coming together to deal with, then we can just be simply band-aiding the reality and reinforcing the same status quo instead of challenging it to change. And remember, we're all resources coming together as a bigger resource. So when we come together as that greater resource, we are really able to do better at problem solving and to really drill down to the fundamental cause of the issues that we are engaging and be able to have greater impact as a collective. But if we are unwilling to do that, or if we're ignorant as to those aspects of collectivism and collaboration, then we can just become yet another talk shop, yet another framework, another overbearing, overarching framework in the same oppressive systems that people are trying to get free from. And when young people see that, if you're in youth development like me, they don't want that, because you're just the same thing in a different package. And so main point in a collective, all the prejudices, all the myths, all the all the injustice, it's there, it's represented, because we are a representation of our societies. We are a representation of the systems that have shaped us, and we have to be prepared to encounter that. We have to be, as a collective, we have to get to the heart of the matter. We have to get to the heart of matter. And as a collective, we are all resources coming together to be a greater resource. We are the resource. The money that we're going to get to do the work is not the resource. We are the resource. I have done some of my greatest initiatives with little to nothing. I have done some great initiatives with nothing. And so we are the resource. The people power is the greatest resource. That is why political parties invest in scamming on scamming a lot of the people in terms of voting. And you see campaign time, a lot of negative messages, a lot of switching up messaging, a lot of uncovering people's secrets, a lot of trickery takes place at that time, because they understand the power of the people, not just to vote, but the power of the people to turn the tide. Because if a country has an election now and nobody votes, what happens? What happens? As we see decreasing voter turnout rates, what would happen if one election people decide not to vote? If after voting, which is usually written in every constitution, there are always no confidence, there are always mechanisms to get rid of that person if they're not performing. If the people knew, and if the people would utilize those mechanisms, if the same amount of people that voted you in did a petition and requested that you be taken out, could you not be taken out? The power of the people. The people we elect are just representatives. When we join collectives representing organizations, we are just the representatives of the collective voice. What are the people saying? The people that I represent, Jamaica youth workers. Jamaica youth workers are saying they want access to classifications as youth workers that come with benefits specific to their profession. They want to be able to access training that is relevant to them. They want the people that train them, like us, to be resourced to train them. So we know what they're saying. They love their work. Some of them have been involved in their work for 40, 50 years now. So we know what our constituents are saying. But how many collectives that represent know what their constituents are saying? How much of them represent anybody? The power is in the hands of the people. It's in the hearts of the people. And so as a collective, we are the resource. We will access funds to do things, but we are the resource. And if we are the resource, what is the resource doing? Is the resource empowered to empower? And so that is my take on collectives. It's a powerful tool. I've never worked outside of collaboration. There's nothing I've done that I can take full credit for, because it has always been done in tandem, whether with the team at the Jamaica Professional Youth Workers Association, whether with the Commonwealth Alliance of Youth Work Associations, whatever it is a part of a group, a community that will come together and work together, because that is where the power lies. The power lies within the people. There is people power. People power is real. That's what this fist means. This fist means people power. The power in the hand, the power in the people. Because when I take this fist and I punch, there is power. There is power in the people. And that is what we utilize when we come in synergy, come to collaborate in a collective. People power. And so I am TanYah Global, and you are listening to Youthful Conversations about collectives and collaboration. Thank you.